welcome to Artist Express. Today our guest is Patrick Harrington, who lives here in Salina, and he's going to tell us about a couple of things actually. But Patrick, let's start with your Community Gardens project. Okay. How did this come about?
For years I worked across the street from a vacant plot of land, 5 acres, and I thought it's wasted space, let's do a garden. And I took it to the city of Sterling at that time, and they granted a lease, and we grew something. We grew a lot of something.
Now, talk a little bit about how you recruited people to help you with that, and what the final outcome was.
Loved all my friends because it just happened together, which was wonderful. Donations. The garden was a huge success because of someone's mistake. A local nursery person hired somebody, and they planted gobs and gobs and gobs of plant cups and soil and water, and just a huge, huge mistake, costly mistake. So they had all these plants, and I started trekking around the city and found them, and they said, "Yeah, we'll give you a bunch of stuff."
Oh, so your
the very first year, it was slam bam out of the gate. It was fantastic, and I mean, beautifully what I dreamed. You know, like everybody dreams of the first year in their garden. It's rarely the case, but this one was because of them. It was a success.
And now, what was the organization? How did everyone have their own plot, or did everyone? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 20 by 20 foot plot for $50 for the season. Water was free. The city provided that and paid. I had to pay the water bill, and other people donated other things. And that was the arrangement. Great. There was also plenty of free plots. You could just throw whatever flower seeds you wanted, and tell someone you did, so they leave you alone. Right. And that was the whole spirit. Is just this huge launch, and fantastic.
And how long ago was this?
Now we might have to go to something here. Whoops, there we go. This is January 21st, 2012.
2012, so 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still going?
No, it's since closed. We moved here to Kansas.
Oh,
about that time.
You were the driving force, and
yes, and nobody else had the passion. Everybody loved it, but no one else wanted to take that.
All right.
I did a lot of work, and it depended on volunteers.
Which of course.
I went and thought very well of. So.
All right, so now you have jumped that project from Sterling, Colorado to Salina, Kansas. Tell us a little bit about how that's working.
That's working wonderfully, and in fact, this Friday, I'm at the first Friday Art Walk for March. I'm at the Flower Nook with a friend of mine, and he has mineral specimens and towers and crystals and orbs and spheres, all kinds of things, and those are for sale. And
are for gardens?
Absolutely, could use for gardens. That's where I kind of fit into this. His stuff would be on a desktop, on a mantle.
Oh, I see.
Office,
so smaller
like that,
scale.
I'm always the practical man. What can I do make people do something in a garden? So there's always a background for me. So I've always liked stones and minerals and rocks, and I've always picked them up. Interesting ones that I could see as I was walking somewhere, and that I remember the stone or the piece of driftwood, and it brings the place and the memory of it. And I've incorporated those into things that people would have around them every day that makes them appreciate that specimen more, because it's pretty much a rock hound kind of thing, and not everybody wants to see my rock collection. So I make things, for instance, I took a bunch of stones, all different kinds of stones, drilled a hole in them, put a washer on the bottom, and you can buy the 3 of those for $1. And you pick any 3 stones, and you build a trail cairn, if you know what that is.
Yes, I do.
But it's also a darned efficient incense stick holder.
Yes.
So there's the practical piece.
So you'll have those for sale
those
at
are
the
for
Flower
sale.
Nook.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then your friend, what's his name?
His name's Jeremiah. He runs SKS Collectibles.
I see.
FB.
Right? On Facebook, okay. So together then you will have displays of garden accessories, should I call it, or?
I think because of the space there and because of the idea of this cairn, this altar, essentially kind of thing. You could absolutely take it in a garden, but I'm not showing anything that big. So this is all stuff you would still have inside,
right,
in an office, but it's a crystal cluster,
right,
with a function.
And now, because we frequently on this show talk a lot about visual arts and other art forms as well, how do you connect what you do with the elements and principles of design, say, or with other art forms? Do you see any connections?
That's a funny one, because I've just learned this in my life now. I'm 63, and that's a lot of other tape, right? But I seemed to know what art was, but anytime I tried to do it, it didn't feel good. And I remember I was not encouraged to continue.
Oh, I see.
Like in kindergarten. And it bothered me. But I took that to, way away and ran with it. So anyway, now I didn't do art. I did a lot of other things.
Right.
Now I feel like I can create something. And somebody asked me the other day, and I said, maybe I'll be called an artist someday.
Right. It's
I'm going to work.
Quite a possibility. And you don't have to call yourself an artist to be creative.
Oh, now I feel it. I've always had the creative part.
Right, right. Good.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Well, what background did you have that prepared you for being a gardener in the first place? What sort of upbringing did you have that contributed to that?
In the high mountains of north of Pasadena in California, Southern California, La Cañada to be specific. I lived with my mom and two brothers behind my grandparents, her parents. And she worked, she was a single mom, drove 50 miles one way to go to
work,
healthcare center in Los Angeles.
Every day. Oh.
And so it was tough. Grandpa and Grandma took a lot of care of me, I know. That was, I appreciate it, I love him. But he always had a garden. He always had something growing, and there was a lot of things you have to plant and leave, like berries and asparagus and things. And he had all those places. Plus, I had an orange grove that I grew up on. And he always had plenty of flowers. Grandma had flowers every Sunday at church. It was that kind of thing for them, and it was for me too. I loved it.
And did you help them in the?
Oh yes, yeah. And he taught me. I created. I helped at some level, I think, to build probably a mile of walls.
Wow.
My grandpa
with rocks.
Yes, my grandpa was the ultimate
dry rock.
What do I want to say? In being recyclable, eco-friendly, way back then.
Right.
And he would go around in the Oldsmobile, the big blue Oldsmobile job, and pick up concrete and take it home and break it up to make a wall. And I helped.
Right. So. I actually did one of those sidewalks myself. That's hard work. They call it sledge, and it is heavy.
I have his sledgehammer.
It is heavy.
Yep.
But it makes a great walkway.
It made a wonderful looking wall.
Right.
And
I'll bet.
Concrete was better back then.
Right.
It was even a experiment. Recycling.
Right. So. And now tell me, in your plot, do you have your own plot at the community garden?
I will have. I did then. But really, everything was mine. So.
Right. So are you more likely to plant flowers or food plants?
Both.
Both.
To me, they're both special. I'm a master gardener in Colorado, but not in Kansas.
I see.
I'd say that my next garden plot is planned to be at the food bank at the community garden there.
Good.
And I'm not in the organization at all, and I've been to a few meetings, and it's exciting, and they erased it and put it all back.
I see.
So it's going to be a wonderful place.
Now, tell me, I'm familiar with one community garden that's at the animal shelter.
Yes,
and then one that's close to the YMCA. I don't know what it's called. Now, are all of those community gardens connected? Are they all part of the Extension Service Master Gardeners?
And the food bank had some pretty large plots at
I see.
Of Master Gardeners with the extension of wood.
Right,
office.
okay.
Some of them are not.
But some aren't.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're public. They're self-supported.
Right.
By somebody's.
Well, I've toured the one by the animal shelter, and it was my first time to see rhubarb growing in such a healthy
Surprise.
way. Beautiful.
Looks like celery.
Beautiful plant. It's really wonderful. Now, if you were looking for people to participate in your community garden program, what is the inducement? How would you sell the idea to someone who's thinking, well, I don't know if that's for me or not? How would you describe your experience and the positive aspects of it?
You think about a family experience with my grandfather, a family experience somewhere, and people all around you might be just doing something you don't even know. Maybe you don't know them.
Right.
But they're there. And the overarching, or taking over everything is nature and the gardens that people are planting. There's something about learning. I've taught people that were scared, that just absolutely maybe had never ever touched a seed. And people are nervous, and there's an investment you could lose, and
that's right.
You should be provisioning first when you are doing a garden. The first thing always is water, right? All of these things are important for people to feel better at. And when I was a kid, we were growing away from our land-based resources.
Yes.
And now plastic bags are a problem.
Exactly.
And I remember the fight when they went from that. So, other subject. So you're in a garden with people that are there because they want to be, are there to make something of it, are drawn by that spirit and that force that is nature that really owns us, unless we think anything different. You set it down and you get seeds, or someone else gives, or it's a sharing community.
There you are.
There's water, preferably by drip irrigation, so it's precise and conservative. Those things can happen. Nice water well, a place where you can get a drink of water. Maybe a table where you can sit down with your kids or your grandkids, or you run a class of other kids. Right. For someone that loves to do that, and I know people that are like that.
And in general, do you eat your food as it comes straight from the garden, or do you do canning and preserving and freezing and all that? Tell about that process.
So eating straight from the garden, great thing, unless you have a nervous digestive system, and you sit in a garden and you eat the best dang cherry tomatoes that I had ever tasted, and I probably ate for 15 minutes just because they were sweet. They were just so great. And then I'm having chest pains later that night.
Oh, dear.
So it went, and I went to the emergency room, and they did all the diagnostics, and it wasn't. It was, they gave me some Pepto-Bismol.
Right.
Problem solved. Right? Yeah. But grapes and berries and tangerines and things, there's nothing fresher and nothing better.
Right.
But there's also people that can and that want to preserve, and I preserve seeds.
I see.
I save seeds.
Sure. So do you share?
Oh yeah, there's yes. Also, something else I like to share, and that's praying mantises and ladybugs and
few bugs.
And all the bugs I see in photograph, and pointing them out to the kids, and they might be a little scared of the bug, but the praying mantis is going to hatch, and it's going to grow, and they're going to see all that. And ladybugs, everybody loves those. You run and throw them around, and
Now, if anyone is interested, we're running out of time, Patrick, but I do want to, if anyone is interested in getting in touch with you, how can they do that? Do you have a website?
I have a Facebook page.
A Facebook page is probably all you need.
Patrick Harrington will let you in.
All right. Remember, if you'd like to learn more about the Community Garden Program, or if you would like to talk to Patrick about becoming involved, go to Facebook, type in Patrick Harrington, and I'll bet something will happen.
Yep.
Thank you for being with us today. See you next time.
Thank you. Elbows.
Now elbows.
Now elbows.